So, hi everyone, my name is Varun. I'm an undergrad student pursuing my degree in electronics and communication. Currently, I'm working as an intern at Episodes. So, today I'm going to discuss about the machine translation part. So, here what is machine translation is? It's the task of automatically converting the source sentence into a target sentence. For example, converting an English into converting the whole sentence into English into Hindi. But given a sentence of text, there is no single best translation in any language. So because the natural ambiguities and flexibilities of the human language. So that is why this is one of the difficult tasks in artificial intelligence. So now I'm going to discuss the types of machine translation. Classical machine translation. Now these techniques involve rules for converting text in one language into another language, and these rules are created by the linguistics, may apply on semantic or lexical level, but they have their limitations. Expertise are required to develop those rules, and vast number of rules are required and exceptions required to convert one language into another language. So the another type is statistical machine translation. This technique makes the maximizing the probability of the output. Let's say this is the source sentence and this is the target sentence. What this technique will do, it will try to focus on maximizing the probability of a target sentence given the source sentence. Means if the sentence is given given my name is Varun, it will try to maximize the probability of getting this sentence in Hindi. Okay. So this approach is totally data driven. You have to give the corpus for target sentence as well as the source sentence. But one of the limitations of this technique is they have the important this technique used phrase based translation, which means it will look on phrase and only the subsequence of that sentence will be translated. So if you select these phrase, so it will be converted into this. But when you take a whole as all as a sentence, it might not predict the same. So this is the limitation over here because it skips the important syntax which can be known by the linguist. So there comes the part neural machine translation. So neural machine translation is the use of neural network models to learn a statistical model for machine translation. The key benefit of this approach is that you have a single system, that will be trained on both this sentence and this sentence. That means you have a single system for both training and a source sentence. So this is one of the technique which is encoder decoder model. Now encoder decoder model. This is the encoder decoder model. What it will do, it will encode this sentence into a vector, some kind of vector. Okay, and what decoder will do, it will take this vector and extract the information from it and translate into this language. This is a normal encoder decoder model. I will explain it later. So to explain this model, we have to go through the RNN and LSTM part because the RNNT is basically done on the base deep learning. So deep RNN and LSTM are deep learning algorithms. So I will tell you what RNNs can do or what can they not. Now, RNNs can do many tasks: image captioning, language translation, sentiment translation, as he's telling, predictive typing, video classification, NLP, speech recognition, and a lot more interesting tasks. So these are the examples where you are inserting this image and it is predicting that two young girls are playing Lego. It is all trained by this RNN algorithm. You will train your RNN according to that, and whenever you feed a new image, it will predict the sequence of those words. Like if you insert this image, it will predict the boy is doing backflip awake word. Yes.
So that captcha, that check, I'm not a robot. Are they also learning from us every time?
Yeah, I'll come to that also. So, neural network models. So anyone know? Everyone know, no? Neural network. What is a neural network model? So, neural network models are known as universal function approximators. That means if somebody gives you extremely wiggly or a completely complex function, it's guaranteed that there exists a neural network that will predict it or approximately or even at least approximate it. Now, RNNs take a step further. They can describe programs. No, in fact, RNNs with proper weights and architecture are considered as Turing complete. What is Turing complete? If someone says that my new thing is Turing complete, that means it can be able to solve any computational problem. It can solve any computational problem. So next part is why RNNs? Why do we need another neural network model? Why do we need recurrent neural network model when we already have ANNs? Why we are not using artificial neural network here? Now see, artificial neural network has their own limitations. They have three limitations that one of which is sequential data. They can't deal with sequential data. They don't have memory, and their architecture has fixed input and output size. I'll show you what is artificial neural network. This is the artificial neural network. You will give input. See, let's say first, see, any algorithms in data science does not deal with words. You can't feed words into that. So you have to convert these words into some kind of vectors. For that, you have to do the embeddings part. Okay. So there are some of the methods like one-hot encoding. You can encode these you can encode my like this, or main 0100. So you have to do the encoding. So then only you can feed it to the algorithm. Otherwise, it's not possible. So this is the ANN part. So in ANN, you have when you feed this vector, you are feeding this vector, and this vector represents only a single word. And this single word, when you are inserting that single word, the output will be totally dependent on that word. But we want that the whole sentence to be converted into this. But we can't do that because we are just feeding only one word. We are totally independent of other words. We don't have any context. So that's why this is one of the limitations is that they don't deal with sequential data. This is known as sequential data. Second is they don't have memory. Now this is a sentence. Lenny Kazan is a criminal and should be sent to. Now, if any network do not have a memory, so when I feed this sentence into it, it does not know what will be there are many possibilities to fill this blank, right? So it can be school, the military, heaven, but RNN RNN with proper retaining if they can retain information about this word criminal, if they can retain information about the word criminal, they will be pretty confident in predicting that the new word will be jail. So this is what the RNNs do. The third limitation is fixed input size and output size, which is still the same. If we are not giving the whole sequence, then it doesn't make any sense. So the third limitation based on that. Now, what is RNN? We keep on talking about RNN, but we don't know what is RNN, right? So this is our normal neural network. Now this is RNN. Yeah. Here we are dealing with scalar values. We are giving one, like if this is a vector, we are giving 0, 1, 0, 0. So here we are dealing with scalar values. But what RNN do is it deals with vectors. See this diagram based on according to layer wise. You will see that you are feeding an input vector, it's going to the hidden vector, and you are predicting an output vector, right? So we can convert this architecture into a more succinct form, which is this. Now let's flip this another way. This is a one-to-one recurrent neural network. This is a one type of RNN. This is a very basic. Now this is another type of RNN. Now this resembles the image capturing task, right? You will feed an image, a sequence of vectors that will be an image, and it will predict a sequence of words in a specific order. So now this neuron is representing the whole layer, not a single scalar value, but a vector. You must be thinking that there are now 7 neurons, right? You are thinking that there are 7 neurons here, right? But no, we have only 3 neurons over here. One is input, hidden, and the output neuron. What it is doing is it experiencing different time steps. It will represent in different time steps. Let's see. So see, this is where we have 2 axes. One is time, the other one is depth. So when I say time, I'm referring to the occurrence of the execution, occurrence of the state. So first we'll get an input, we'll compute x1 based on that input, then x2, then x3, y1, y2, and y3. Or you can directly compute y1 from x1. It depends upon your architecture. So this is what we are experiencing here. We are experiencing here time steps. So there are only 3 neurons, but these neurons learn weights and then again feed the weights into itself.
Like, can you give an example? A rough example. Suppose we create an image, like how could, what is this x1 x2?
See, normally this is a one type.
Yeah.
So normally this is one output, one hidden, and one. So if you want to add another hidden layer to it, what you will do? Yeah, you will put a hidden layer over here.
Yeah.
Okay. So but you see, if you have only trained this hidden vector only once, you will learn weights from here. You will update those weights and then pass those weights to and then according to the optimization algorithm, you will change these weights and just like that you can do. But RNNs are different. If you go to this hidden neuron, you can again learn the weights and you can again feed back it to it. It's like a feedback. Instead of going directly to the output, you can feed it back to you can give it back to the hidden neuron. So in that way,
how can it learn? How can it give the output?
No, to learn the weights, you need to know about the gradient descent algorithm, and all the other things I'll explain it later.
I understand. So instead of learning in the out, okay, you are teaching.
See, normally what will happen is if you give an input, the output will come, and we'll have the correct output, and we'll calculate the error based on predicted output and the correct output. Now we want that output should be accurate when we predict, right? So what it will do is it will calculate the error and it will do the gradient descent. It means if we are using the gradient descent technique, it will take the gradient of it and will update those vectors over here, right?
Yeah.
This is why they learn the weights. This is how they learn the weights. Now the next part is what is the NMT architecture? We are talking about the neural machine translation. So this is the RNN architecture for neural machine translation. See this, we are feeding inputs. When we feed all the inputs, then only the translation takes place. Because we are taking the context, because we need to have a context. Without the meaning of the sentence, the translation will be wrong. So after feeding all the inputs, then only we are getting the output. So this is a very basic neural machine translation system. You can increase this. Now normally you just add a hidden layer above this, right? But here we are adding time steps also. So in that way you can have a very big system, very deep system. So you have multiple time steps, multiple hidden layers, output sequence, input sequence. So this system has all of these things. It has input sequence, output sequence, multiple time steps, multiple layers. So it is very deep. This is another type of recurrent neural network. This is for video classification. If you want to classify a video frame-wise, see here you will give the input. Here will be input, and then it goes to the hidden layer. then you will directly calculate the output from here, not wait for all the inputs to become, because we need a prediction for each frame. Na? So that's why we will give this after each hidden layer, we will have a output layer. So we can the whole architecture that we have seen, that consists of a number of hidden layers and number of time steps. We can convert that architecture into a much more succinct form. Which is this. What this is saying is that the arrow coming in and out is actually saying that it is functionally dependent on the previous hidden states that we are feeding. So it is totally dependent on the previous hidden state. It's sort of like a loop that feeds itself. Now I'm going to walk you through the formal mathematical notation involved in RNNs. We'll consider that architecture because it has everything on it, and whatever the calculation will attain will probably be applicable for all the other architectures. So this is the architecture we are going to. So here you will see that this hidden layer, this hidden neuron, is dependent on previous input, and the previous hidden layer at the previous time step. At the previous time step and then the previous input. So the equation for this is going to be like this. Previous time step and the input. It's going to be like this. If you are considering this layer, because this layer will have an input. But if you are considering this layer, the equation will be, it will be dependent on the previous the hidden layer at the hidden state at the previous time step and the hidden state at the previous layer. So the equation for that would be ht minus 1 L and ht L minus 1. So L will be the layer and T is the time step. So what is this FW function? FW function is the activation function. You all know, right? What is activation function? You can use a sigmoid over here, a tanh over here, or you can use ReLU. Any activation function can be used over this. So this is the mathematical notation of RNN. See here, FW, in this blog it is using tanh. So here we are adding, instead of here in the position of FW, it is tanh. Now to make RNN useful, you need to learn weights, right? But they don't, they are very bad at doing that. Why? Because see, if you are considering a gradient descent technique, so if you are getting an error, at the final output, and your architecture is very deep, and you want to calculate the weights over here, so the whole process will take a lot of gradients. In normal, you know the calculus that if you differentiate and according to the chain rule, you are going to multiply all the gradients. Now, if you use sigmoid function over here, the sigmoid function is like this. But the derivatives of sigmoid and the derivatives of the sigmoid function is this. This is 0.25. The maximum value of sigmoid, the derivative of sigmoid function can have is 0.25. So if you multiply all those derivatives, and which is having the value of 0.25, it will be 0. So what will be the update to the weights? It will be 0. So you will not learn anything. That's why we use another technique, which is another variant of RNN basically, which is LSTM. Why we are using LSTM over here is because of the vanishing gradient descent problem. Now, vanishing gradient descent is the problem is this, where all the update will be 0 to the weights. It will not learn anything. To solve this problem, RNN uses LSTM uses cells. This is the structure of cell, but you don't understand it because I don't understand that yet. It's very complicated. That's why it's giving this expression.
I gave that expression quite a while back.
So our structure was like this, right? Each hidden state is dependent on the hidden state at the previous time step and the input. But now we'll have a cell state in between. So instead of calculating hidden state as an input of previous hidden state and the input, we'll have a function of cell state in between. So now the whole architecture will look like this.
You're combining a lot of combinations and then giving it to the next stage.
Yeah. So now the architecture will be like this. Before, what we did is we'll have an input, we'll give this to hidden state, and then while. Now we have changed the whole architecture. We're adding this cell state into it, so that we don't, so that we can learn some weights. Because otherwise, we will the gradient descent or the update will be 0. So now we have added the cell state part. But why we are adding this cell state part? What have we done right here? Is that why it is making better? The reason is, you all know the gradients addition property, right? That addition derivatives treat gradients equally. Means if you this is our previous RNN, you are multiplying gradients and it will vanish. But in this case, when you take the gradient of this function, it will add up. The property of derivative is like addition derivative is like this, that addition treats derivatives equally. The gradients will be equally distributed instead of multiplying. So this is what we are adding to the RNN architecture. That's why they will learn, they will not vanish. Now we know this is the cell state. But what is inside this cell state? They have 4 gates. They have 4 gates: F, I, G, and O. What F gate is doing? It is responsible for resetting the information. It is responsible how much information from previous states you want to add. What is input gate? Input gate is the whether it is the input. Now the F is totally depending on previous cell states. Here Gi is depending on x2 and h1, means previous hidden states and the input vector. So I is the write process. How much you want to add, how much of the new input and the previous hidden state output you want to add to the cell state. And output is basically calculating the new hidden state. So this is the LSTM architecture. Now we will move on to the NMT part, which is a sequence to sequence model, which is this model, encoder decoder model. Now, see, this is I have choose this sentence, but actually this sentence has same number of length, 4 and 4. The length can be changed, right? It can have a variable length. This can be 5, this can be 3, or this can be 3, this can be 3, or this can be 5. Right? So what to do if you want to train an RNN which have a variable length? So to train that, see, this is the source sentence. You'll have, say, let's say this have 3 words and this will have 5 words. You have this sentence, 3 words, and this is totally all vectors. So in what encoder will do, it will gather the information from this and will generate a new vector which will have the information of all the sequence of words. So we have a new middle vector now. Now middle vector contains the information of the whole text. But this is of length 3. We want to predict that output which is of length 5, right? So what we will do, we will take those, we will consider the output of, we'll consider the length of the output. This is 5, right? So this is a single vector. This is a single vector. Because this is a single vector, it has all the information of the previous 3 vectors. This single vector. So we'll repeat this vector 4 times. So now the length is 5 vector. Now we have a 5 vector length. So the output, so now the decoder will extract the information from this 5 vector length output and will translate it into another language. So this is how the encoder and decoder works. Now, if you now data processing part for encoder and decoder model is quite different. You have to do many changes to get the data for the input and an output, so that you can map them together and get get a good output. So the processing steps are like this. There's one more method you can do is you can add a zero padding after it. If your sentence is of length 3 and you want to output the length of 5, you can add 0 over it. So you can do the zero padding. The RNN will know that you have added the zero padding over here because it's trained to do that. Right?
So just small question, like the Google Music and so is it going to be using something like this? I'm trying to understand. It's only very translating.
You can use this algorithm to generate music.
Google Music is not using, but it's a you can understand the music using this algorithm. It's like you can understand the genre.
Okay, what is the pattern for Google users?
Google Music uses different things. It uses like same technique as Walmart is using. It's like whenever you went to any big mall, so they have a particular set of pattern and arranging things.
Yeah.
So that maximize.
Yeah.
So same thing, like basket analysis. How many users use two songs at a time or something like that?
Basically, if I'm listening to like how you're doing that Johnny Cash review, and then you heard Bob Dylan, and then it'll say, okay, pattern for this and this, I understand with this, and then I try to suggest what other song might be having a similar pattern.
So, you are talking about the different.
Sorry.
There is two things. Songs can be described. There is a two type of data. One data is exactly the music, genres, and anything lyrics of the song. Another data is metadata. Metadata is like song name, artist, or
Tags to it.
tags, any tags. Okay. What Google Music does is Google Music just clusters the metadata. It's like in current scenario, any video suggestion, any song suggestion haven't done using genres or inside the music. All
It's
are
all
using,
superficial. No, it's all user based and saying,
yeah,
hey,
they all are using
Johnny
tags.
Cash is into say rock or classic.
So
And
they
then-
all are using tags only. They are not using actual music.
But in some ways, reading the beats.
Yeah,
also
so
could be
actually
very
Amazon
beneficial.
Prime is trying to do, Amazon Prime is trying to classify every video and generate automatic tag. It's like there is a fighting sequence at 7 minutes to 8 minutes. There is a romantic sequence at this to this. And now they are generating their tags and you are using, they are using their tag to classify.
So the internal analysis they can do this.
Yeah, internal analysis you can do with, it's like we have seen RNN. So what RNN is, it's remember the previous sequence. Now let's say I will just show you a picture. I will just show you a picture where someone is diving from a building.
Yes, and what emotion you.
So yeah, what you want to do? It can be a fighting scene, it can be a suicide scene.
Okay.
Is it okay? But how can you decide? You need to have some previous things.
Yeah.
So,
Context,
yeah,
without context. and
So that is RNN is trying to do, and even they are trying to do.
So that is a big.
So neural networks will decide to will help you determine a context. Whereas traditional machine learning, that what way uses is, it will try to suggest you a similar context. You will try to predict or group you into something.
One is trying to understand who you are, and the other one is trying to just suggest.
Where do you fit? And neural nets do not have any
Memories.
memories, and it does not have a target variable per se. Like how you have in machine learning, you have your target variable set. Neural networks predicts its own target.
There's no target function. Okay.
So it is used to discover patterns rather than to fit into that.
Oh, it's like stock option. You cannot find any pattern, or you cannot say that this pattern will fit the data. But machine learning can. Machine learning can find pattern. It's like more deep inside, but we can.
So if the Google Drive, the Amazon Drive example, like you say, for example, if you've seen Sexy Idiots and you've mapped it and saying you can emotions. This was a funny scene, this was a sad scene, this. And tomorrow if I say my target function is to say make a new movie using
You can make.
I can reverse engineer it, right?
That is neural.
And if some way I was getting, say, from Fitbit, the biometric of all the people watching it, I don't understand where the emotions, heart counts was
Even
very high.
they are doing some analysis. It's like whenever you are keeping video on YouTube and you are pausing at particular time, so they are looking at the which type of emotion at that particular time, and they are suggesting you more about the same.
So there are many applications to RNN. You can upload the Shakespeare sonnets. You can collect all the sonnets of the Shakespeare and feed it to the neural network. It will create a new sonnet. Yes. You can even in Game of Thrones, someone has done that. In Game of Thrones, he has collected the data from all the 6 books and he has predicted the new season. Yeah, you can also.
Someone has predicted Eminem there.
Wow.
And it's almost rhyming at the end.
So this is the XML code.
But what's been the feedback from all of these JRR and Eminem and this all of this?
They are thrilled, they are excited.
It's like they are talent.
Yeah,
This is the-
by themselves or
This is the XML code.
that is it.
This is an XML code predicted by RNN. So you can feed lots of XML codes to it, and it will predict a new XML code for it. So there are a lot of application for it. There's a speech to text process application. You know Google Words. What Google Words are using. So you will what they will do is you will speak normally in any language you want. So you will speak English. It will translate it
Into words.
into words. Yeah, so it's generally you can get all the, like if you normal notepad, you are noting down all these things with pen. What you can do is you can speak those words and it will automatically write it down for you. So there are many applications to RNN and LSTM.
And where mainstream, actually, Google, you're saying Prime and Google and all these guys are using it at a very level. Facebook and political parties using Cambridge Analytica.
So then political consultancy.
Yeah. So it's a political consultancy firm started by IT Kanpur. I'm from IT Kanpur, so that's our senior. So what they does is in 2014 election.
The chap, I think I remember last year British.
Actually, no. In 2014 election of parliament. So they are with BJP. All this term it's like Chai Pe Charcha, Ghar Ghar Namu. They are driven by them. It's like
They were using.
they are creating their words, their phrase, their campaigns. So how they created, it's like they analyze their whole social media profiles on what people is talking more about on Facebook, on any news, something, on any discussion, and they are come up with their terms. It's
The
like
same Twitter sensitivity. They must have said what is the most overlap one. So उसपे campaign करना. And then talk to the
So it's like Chai Pe Charcha is one of the famous example
Nice.
कि वो इतना सक्सेस हुआ था इनफैक्ट वो बिहार इलेक्शन में वो
हाँ।
बीजेपी का सपोर्ट छोड़ के वो आरडीपी में नीतीश
Yeah.
कुमार जाता है
I know that.
वो जीत गया
This is a C code. What someone did is they took all the header and source files from the Linux Linux repo, and they collected all the data and and trained an RNN over it. So this is the C code predicted by the RNN. This is not written by any human. This is predicted. This is written by the RNN, the trained network that we use. So most of the things are right over here, but some of the things are not right. But still, you can see the variable and the location. Everything is some of the time.
So if I take my application that code base right now and put it into R and not train it, will my next few modules be built
Yeah.
on their own?
Yes. But you need lots of data for that.
You need a lot of versions of your existing system for that.
Ah.
You probably need 10 versions to build it.
This model is trained on 470 MB cores. The half
So
is
it's
the
understanding incremental changes
Yeah.
and then trying to predict, say,
What
based
is
on the
the
past.
even coffee at some point coding style
So we use this for Bedway. So
Yeah.
Scary yeah, now.
so after lecture I will
Bedway is a study guide for your life. It's a documentation guide that you follow. So indentation space like
So space in the back.
So you just put in your name. How to Bedway is
Then eight.
Bedway is in the 257 documentation guide.
This is it. You can do lots of things with RNN. You can train anything.
Yeah, just because.
Okay, thank you.
So do I. We'll take a stop recording after 45 minutes. Take a small break. And then one more session. Or this is
So this is it.
we're wrapping up.
Yeah.
So let's go on to the gathering.